Welcome back, everybody. And as I told you in the previous video, we're going to be dealing with GPS and satellites. And I'm going to be giving y'all some facts that we really need to consider, because after considering these facts, I've come to the conclusion that satellites don't exist, or not in the state that they're telling us they do. Now, why don't they exist? Because satellites can only exist on a globe Earth. And I've proven that the Earth is not a globe. Not only have I proven it, but even the people who told you it was a globe now tells you that it's something other than a globe. So, and we also know that the micromedia theory makes the satellite program questionable. Also, there are so many flaws in this thing. So understand that GPS is not new. Now, in a lot of previous videos, I told y'all that a lot of the technology that we have today, the credit was stolen from the ancients, and we didn't really invent a lot of this stuff. It was stolen and plagiarized and renamed and represented to make money, okay? But the stuff been here. You got people that have hijacked these sciences, and now they are millionaires and billionaires based on repackaging the same ancient science that they hijacked. So I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of how this works. First of all, understand that when you say GPS or sonar, all of these things, talking about Loran technology. Many of you don't understand what Loran is. You will be familiar with it by the end of this video. So basically, what we're calling satellite communication is landline communication. Now, some things we got to consider: most of the world's communication systems are land-based. That is a fact. And that shouldn't be a fact if satellites are real, okay? Also, if satellites were real, there was an incident in the past where I believe it was the United States had an altercation with Russia, if I'm not mistaken. I'll be doing a video to go deeper on this. But there was an incident where the United States had an altercation with, I believe, Russia, about this communication line that goes under the ocean from the U.S. to Russia or something like that. And Russia was threatening to cut this line. So the U.S. was in a serious panic about this line, and they also was under a threat where they were saying that all of our communications could be lost. And I just don't understand how that's possible if we got satellites up there floating around. You know, it shouldn't have been a big deal if most of our communications are satellite based today, as they say. Really, you got to understand that cell phone companies are building more and more towers every day. And why would you need towers if you have all of these satellites that they are charging you guys for? Okay, if you got all of these satellites floating up there, it just don't make sense. There's a lot of loopholes in it. And why you keep building these towers if we're paying for satellites and you're saying that we're covered by satellites? All right, you have to keep in mind that I was in the military, and there are plenty more in the military who understand how guided missiles work. Now, I've talked to sergeants, and there's plenty who uploaded videos on YouTube who deal in munitions in certain career fields in the military where they have to deal with missiles and stuff of that nature. A lot of these sergeants, now that this knowledge is coming to the surface, are having questions answered that they had, all right? Like, for example, some of these guided missiles that we have go for hundreds of miles to their target. And what the operators are saying is that these missiles aren't built to account for curvature. In other words, the missiles move in a straight line and they do not curve for hundreds of miles. And these are guided missiles. Some of them probably go farther than that now. This technology could not be possible on a globe, people. The only way this technology could be possible on a globe is if the missiles were programmed to curve after a certain amount of miles, okay? You shouldn't be able to shoot a missile from one continent to another continent and not account for curvature in the design of the missile. If the earth is curved, this missile should have to do a curve, okay? Otherwise, it'll go off into so-called space right out of the atmosphere. Come on, people. All it takes is a little thinking. So none of these missiles are built to account for curvature. That actually proves that the earth is flat. There's no way that this missile could go this amount of distance without accounting for curvature, people, if we were on a ball earth. Another way that could be possible is the Earth had to be at least 3-4 times bigger than what they're telling us. But that can't be the case because we will have to account for weight. Weight is determined by the size and the pull of gravity and all of that good stuff. So every time we say the Earth is bigger, we have to account for weight. You know, I'm not gaining any weight based on their theory. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that makes satellites questionable. And now we're going to get into some more technical facts concerning the technology itself. It's simply ancient technology renamed and repackaged and sold at a high price to people who aren't aware. All right. Your world has been repackaged and resold to you, and it has been packaged in a pretty wrapping of lies. And the only way that these people can continue to deceive us and sell out is that we continue to buy in. Think about what I just said, brothers and sisters. Rewind it if you have to. Let's move on. Now, one of those technologies is called Loran. GPS was invented by the U.S. military in 1973. So this GPS project was developed in 1973 to overcome the limitations of previous navigation systems, integrating ideas from several predecessors, including a number of classified engineering design studies from the 1960s. GPS was created and realized by the U.S. Department of Defense and was originally run with 24 satellites, so they say, okay? It became fully operational in 1955, okay? Now, they say that it was originally run with 24 satellites. Well, that's very questionable. I doubt that they have any because the first picture that they gave us after this program was so-called launched is the one you're looking at now. And as you can clearly see, it's an artist's conception. Now, what you are looking at is what was the first satellite image that we were given from space. Just like all the previous images I've been showing y'all, it's all an illusion, it's deception, it's artists. Most people don't understand that NASA consists of liars and theory creators, and they consist of painters, artists. It consists of filmmakers and camera illusionists. This is what NASA is. Okay, it consists of video game type computer software that give y'all pretty images and all of these little collision pictures in space. So understand that, people, it's an illusion that we've been plugged into, and part of coming out of that illusion is giving the beast back his science. All right, so now let's move on here. At the end of this video, I encourage you all to please visit those links in the description box. Now, the design of GPS is based partly on similar ground-based radio navigation systems, okay? Keyword ground-based, all right? And this is the foundation of what we call GPS, so-called global positioning, all right? Now, this ground-based radio navigation system technology was based on older predecessors such as Loran and the Decca Navigator, and these were developed in the early 1940s and used during World War II. In several videos, I always tell you guys that most of the technology we get is old war technology, okay? Everything you got that you so impressed with, the elites, it's their old technology, okay? They're years ahead of us, people. So what am I telling you here? I'm gonna back up my claim that most of the technology we use today is just repackaged ancient technology or repackaged older technology and resold. So we're being bamboozled, we're being deceived, all right? And it's all motivated by money, greed, and these people are clearly evil. So the satellite program is indeed questionable when you understand that the foundation of the whole program is based on ground-based radio navigation systems, and it makes perfect sense, all right? And you will see why that is true as we move on. Now, the Decca Navigator system was a hyperbolic radio navigation system which allowed ships and aircraft to determine their position by receiving radio signals from fixed navigational beacons. All right, all of these cell phone towers that they putting up here, they ain't putting it up there for nothing, people. If they had satellites, they wouldn't be spending millions in their budget on all of these towers, all right? So the system used low frequencies from 70 to 129 kilohertz. It was first deployed by the Royal Navy during World War II when the Allied forces needed a system which could be used to achieve accurate landings. So again, like I said, most of the technology that we use today is just simply thrown away military technology as they move on and advance years ahead of us. Understand that the Decca Navigator is old technology and it does not require the use of a satellite. None of the stuff we use in our world today require the use of a satellite, all right? So the fact that we only get these artist conceptions of satellites make perfect sense because there's nothing up there if you ask me. Now, if there is satellites up there, they're not as they have described to us. They couldn't even exist in the nature of space as they describe to us, okay? Any way they could exist is to hover above a certain height above the flat plane Earth, and they would be stationary. And there's a lot of science that support that. But I doubt that they even have them existing at that state, people. If they do, good for them. But I know that this satellite program is straight bogus and that the billions of money that they're getting from us in taxes is being used to turn around and deceive us, and they're pocketing it, getting rich, feeding our children the lie. And the result is a society of people who are unaware and who perish for lack of knowledge, and another group of people who stay in power and on top because they understand the knowledge, but they're giving you the lies. So understand that the truth really will set you free, and knowledge is power. Now we're going to move on. The design of GPS is based partly on similar ground-based radio integration systems such as Loran and the Decca Navigator. So that's pretty much what Loran basically is. It's the first radio-based technology, and as you can see in this picture right here, this is a Loran C receiver for use on merchant ships, and it's still used to this day. And again, they do not require satellite technology. As I stated, more than half of our communication systems today are land-based, and that should not be true if we had all of these thousands of satellites in orbit like they say. Understand that, and understand that there are long landlines that go far, 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 people. I'm talking about miles across oceans that connect a lot of these systems that we use today, all right? And along with the towers, that is how our world is achieved. It is not by satellites, people. And if you don't believe me, then just remember what I told you previously, that the U.S. was about to panic and have a headache when they found out that one of those key landlines, Russia, was threatening to cut it. All right. And like I said, I'm going to research a little bit more about that and do a little short video on that whole situation. You may want to go and research it before I get around to the video, so you'll understand that the U.S. was panicking when this landline was about to be cut. And that shouldn't be so if we got all of this satellite technology. This Loran receiver shouldn't be still be getting sold today under the guise that it's using satellite technology. Most of your cell phone companies are charging you extra for this extra gig and this extra service, but nothing is changing, people, and you're paying for the same thing under different names. We got to get out of the matrix, okay? All of these cell phone companies are using land-based technology to provide your service, but they're charging you extra, fooling you like they need the money to keep these so-called satellites in orbit. So we are being bamboozled, and a lot of you guys got to have the latest technology. You know, you buy a new phone every year. Well, guess what? You're rebuying the same phone with a different name and maybe a new sleek cover. All right. This next video clip I'm going to leave y'all with right now is going to really open up your mind to the nature of consumerism and what has happened to humanity today based on our lack of knowledge and our separateness from the creator and from our true cosmology, which has been hidden by these deceivers. I'm going to leave y'all with this video. Like, share, subscribe. Peace and much love.
It is kind of funny how people react when the new iPhone comes out. Some people actually get mad. Why would they make another product? I desperately want to buy those bastards. It's almost as if the new iPhone somehow ruins the old iPhone, but it doesn't. It's all in your head. In fact, we set a camera out on the street today, and we told people outside to check out the new iPhone 5, which is unavailable so far. So in reality, what they were looking at is the current iPhone 4S that everyone has. And, well, here's how that experiment played out.
The new iPhone 5 just came out today. We want to know if you'll take a look at it. Tell us how it compares to the last iPhone.
I'd love to. Oh, it's way better.
Yeah, it's nice. That's definitely noticeably better.
It's a little thinner. Looks like the screen's a little bigger.
Seems a little bit faster.
The Retro Brick is a wireless Bluetooth handset for your cell phone that is faithfully recreated in the style of a 1980s brick cellular phone.
Hello?
Let's open the Maps application and see what we get. Today we're filming in New York City, and let's go to the location where we are right now, which is the biggest addition to the new version of Google Maps. It uses cell tower triangulation and not GPS to determine the location of this particular device. It uses cell tower triangulation and not GPS to determine the location of this particular device. Cell tower triangulation and not GPS